When a successful creator like Matt D'Avella mysteriously disappears and then months later writes a letter saying he's depressed as fuck, it can elicit some confusion and some heartache for those of us who admire him or for those of us who want to emulate his success. How can someone who's built a loyal audience and built wealth from content that is an expression of his own interests be so unhappy? And if what he's achieved does not lead to happiness, then what in the world are we all chasing after? Let's explore the surprising misery in getting everything you ever wanted. Everyone who loves YouTube knows Matt D'Avella. Whether it's his storytelling and his filmmaking chops, or it's his willingness to explore new possibilities for 30 days and document the outcome, I think we've all fallen for Matt's charm and his talent in one way or another. Even as a longtime filmmaker, his rise to YouTube stardom was just as arduous as any other small creator. At the start, he spent hours filming and editing videos, publishing them into the void, and getting single-digit views and a handful of subscribers along the way. But as he refined his process, his content strategy, and his unique approach to storytelling, he took his channel from 0 to 3.8 million subscribers in just a handful of years. And with that, Matt achieved his goal. He set out to make a living by making his own original videos, and he did that to the highest degree. But from what he shared in his recent emails, he has not been happy lately. And it seems like it's not the success itself that is prompting the unhappiness, but rather it's what it took to get there. In life, we have goals. We have places that we want to go. And if we don't already have what we want, that means that our current lifestyle, our current behaviors do not lead to that specific outcome. So getting to where we want to go, that requires us to change our behaviors and our mental framework. It requires us to create a vehicle, so to speak, to get us from where we are today to where we want to go. In Matt's case, he wanted to make a living creating YouTube videos. To do that, you need to attract an audience. And yes, that requires some tactical skills like editing and making thumbnails, but at the core, it requires a content strategy. And if you are the name and the face of the content, you need to create a context for people to relate to you and know what to expect of you. You need to productize yourself. And so in a way, Matt's vehicle to drive him towards YouTube success is himself, or at least a version of himself. And he's proven phenomenal at doing this. I mean, you just know when a video is Matt's. You know the feel of it. You likely expect a thoughtful and cinematic point of view on minimalism or productivity or happiness or lifestyle. I'd say almost all content creators strive to emulate this in their own way. And that's because it works. The better you get at packaging yourself up, and the more precisely you can label yourself and create that context in which to relate to you, the faster YouTube is gonna find that audience and put you in front of them. To return to the vehicle analogy, productizing yourself on YouTube is like building a supercar to get you to where you want to go. It's effective, it is fast, it drives results. But at the end of the day, it's also a constraint because now you're in this car, right? And you're constrained to this metal box. And there's also a movement to it, right? There's momentum, you're going somewhere. And then also people start to like the car. The car all of a sudden makes you money. The car gives you social status. And if you're not careful, the ego can start to identify as the car, identify with the car. And this creates a newfound problem that Matt articulates in his latest emails. My identity had become tightly bound by 3 labels. I was a YouTuber, a minimalist, and a high-income earner. These things once gave me a sense of purpose and peace. They set me apart, defined my success, and brought me happiness. Until they didn't. As human beings, we are a million different things. And those million things fluctuate by the moment, by the day, the season, the year. And so to productize yourself is to try to make static what is never static. It's to try to capture and bottle up what in truth cannot be captured at all, because it's the flow of life. You may have gone through this exercise of trying to find the right labels for yourself and trying to build that vehicle that's going to get you from point A to point B. But as you did that, there's just an inner knowing that those labels, they don't capture everything that you are. And on a long enough timeline, particularly as you reach your desired destination, it's almost a certainty that these labels, they're going to fit like a shoe that's one size too small. And that seems to be what happened to Matt. But we must remember that these labels are self-imposed. They might feel very sticky, especially if they've led to our success, or if they're attractive labels, or if the labels give us social status. But this stickiness is an illusion. There's nothing to stick to, because we are the flow of life. It's only our fear and our ego that clings on to these labels in an attempt to create this false sense of safety and permanence. The author and psychoanalyst James Hollis shares that as we start to outgrow these labels and these goals that no longer serve us, our soul, so to speak, can actually autonomously remove its support and its approval of our old agenda. And that revocation can look like burnout, boredom, depression, lethargy. We may try to self-medicate these symptoms away, but find that our soul, or our psyche, as Carl Jung would frame it, is a deeper intelligence that really demands that we listen to it. And Matt actually describes this experience in the emails. It was as if a younger version of myself grabbed me by the charcoal t-shirt and shouted, "If you're not happy, then stop." So I did, and I immediately felt some weight release from my shoulders. Don't get me wrong, I was still depressed as f***, but I knew I was heading in the right direction. So what can we as creatives and as human beings with goals and dreams, what can we take away from Matt's experience and his vulnerability on this topic? You know, is it suffering all the way down? Is it even worth going on this journey if it's not going to lead to the happiness we think it's going to lead to? You know, as I reflect on this question, I just don't believe that there's a path in life that avoids suffering. I think we either build that vehicle and we get to where we want to go, and we uncover whatever newfound pain exists after getting what we want, or we just don't build the vehicle and we feel the heartache of never actualizing our vision. So if I have to choose between those two pains, I want to follow Matt's lead. In the spirit of learning from Matt's vulnerability on this, I'll pose the questions to you. You know, what are the old labels that you're still grasping onto, even though they're not serving you anymore? You know, maybe they got you to your desired destination. Maybe they worked in that regard. Or maybe they're keeping you stuck. Maybe they're taking you nowhere. Maybe they're holding you back. But regardless, what are those old agendas, those outdated labels that you've essentially outgrown? Odds are, when I posed that question to you, something came up. It might be visceral, but something, you're feeling something, right? It's almost like there's a deeper intelligence that tries to just give us these hints that something is keeping us stuck and it's time to move on. It's time to expand. I made this video because I'm in the midst of all this. I'm in the process of taking off old labels, putting on some new ones, and I can feel my ego and my fear just gripping with every last fingertip on these old labels that have kept me safe, right? They've kept me alive, they kept me in good condition, and so the ego wants to perpetuate the status quo. That's its job, right? The ego is not here to help us evolve to our next evolution. But me, Just like you, just like Matt, we are the flow of life. There is actually nothing for these labels to stick to. They are self-imposed. It is only our thoughts, it is only stories arising in the mind that seem to bind us to these old limitations. And please, don't believe me on this. I mean, if you're still here, if you're still watching this, and if you're open-minded, I'd urge you just hang with me for a second here. And from now until the end of this video, I just want you to simply set down your past. So any stories about your past, from now until this video ends, you have full permission to just set those down beside you. Just drop those, okay? You can pick them back up when this video is over, but for right now, everything from the past, all your stories, you're going to put down beside you. And also, until the end of this video, there's no next, okay? Any anticipation about the future, any anxieties about what's going to happen next, I also, just for a moment, want you to set that down too, okay? And just shift your attention, just briefly, to the sensations of breathing. So maybe you can feel the sensations near your nostrils, or you can feel the rising and the falling of your belly. And you're gonna feel resistant to this. You're gonna want to click off. I know you want to click off, but stick with me just for a minute here. You set it all aside. You're shifting to the feeling of breathing. You're hearing my voice. You're looking at your phone, your computer. What's here? What you might find is that all those labels that are holding you back, they're nowhere to be found. What you are is not touched by these labels. It's not colored by these stories that you tell yourself. And so hopefully this gives you a glimpse of how the things that are keeping you small, the stories that make you fearful, that hold you back, they are simply thoughts arising in the mind. And so I want to end this video by thanking Matt D'Avella for the amazing work he's made over the years. I also want to express gratitude that he's been so vulnerable about what he's experiencing here and how his own self-imposed limitations are impacting him and his emotional state. So Matt, appreciate you, man. It's obviously brought up a lot in me. It's helped me, examine my situation and help me think more critically about who I am and what I'm here to do. So I appreciate that. So for those of you who stuck around to the end and did that quick little glimpse into the labellessness of what we are, really appreciate you. I know you wanted to click away, but you made it through. And so I'll see you on the next one. I appreciate you.